Hey, it's 9:39, Big 550 KTRS. All right, let's go to the phones here. Enough of me. 314-969-KTRS, 1-888-550-KTRS, or star KTRS. Mike and Estelle, you are first up. Good morning.
Oh, it's a pleasure to talk to you.
You got it. Thanks for calling.
I want to share that yesterday I drove from Denver back to St. Louis, and since I couldn't get KTRS, I listened to Comedy Central the entire way. And I have to admit, this morning when you gave your brief synopsis of this whole situation, I laughed harder than I did at any of the Comedy Central. Problem is, though, this is real life. This isn't comedy. So thank you very much.
You got it. Anything else? Oh, all right. By the way, Mike, you can listen to KTRS as you drive from Denver to St. Louis. All you have to do is download our app, and it works perfectly on your phone. And if you got a Johnny Londoff Chevrolet or any of those newfangled cars, you can run it through your speakers in your car, and it's like listening to the Big 550 on your radio. It's great, right through your phone app. Let's try Wayne. Wayne, thanks for holding on. You are on KTRS Radio.
Good morning, McGraw. First off, let me just preface this saying, in my opinion, until you get rid of these high-priced hitmen, the consultants, you're never going to stop this. Having said that, Humphreys, Herzog, the big whales in the party have no reason to lie. Mm-hmm. I mean, they give, $6 million over a 10-year cycle to candidates. They fly candidates on their planes. They got nothing to lose. They don't need Hancock. They don't need his money.
Right.
But it's insidious, and the fact is, unless the candidate himself is sitting there, if you are in front of a potential donor and they say, what religion is, say, Auditor Schweich? As a professional, you would say, I don't know. You're going to have to ask him or ask somebody that works for him. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is absolutely ludicrous. This has become about Hancock, not about the party. He's made it about himself. He's going to drag everybody down with him, and he really doesn't care. It's mainly now save yourself. If he doesn't have a career as a party chairman, which pays nothing, then he's got to have a career as a consultant. Well,
what candidate is going to hire him now? Now
That's
that he's
my point, McGraw. Not only that, let me tell you something. Auditor Schweich and I were philosophically opposed on a lot of things. But if you saw that man in a mall or in Jefferson City across the street, you acknowledged him, the man would walk across the street and shake your hand and say hello. He was apolitical. It didn't matter whether you were a Democrat or a Republican. He was friendly to everyone. And I guess you just can't have that nowadays.
Wayne, thanks for the phone call. Appreciate your comments. The thing, political operatives do the dirty work so the candidates can stand up there and say they're family friendly and I'm for family values. And the political men, if you will, they go down in the muck and they do the dirty work. And so the candidates can say, what are you talking about? We didn't know anything about that. They become desensitized. That's why that ad was so insidious, is because they didn't even realize what they were saying. It was meant to upset Tom Schweich. As they said, it was an ad written for one, and it was meant to upset Tom Schweich. And let's call him Barney Fife, and let's make fun of his physical stature. Nobody thought, you know what, maybe this is crossing the line, because the line is so blurred now, because it's all about winning. It's winning against Democrats. It's winning against the other party guy. Right? It's all about winning. And so is it plausible? Is it possible that John Hancock is not anti-Semitic and racist? I think it's pretty safe to say that John Hancock in the 21st century, I don't know the man very well, but I can almost guarantee you the definition of racist or anti-Semitic, he is not. But did he use religious bigotry in a little whisper campaign and a nudge, nudge, wink, wink because he wanted to curry favor with somebody? Couple of 3, 4, 5 people, 10 people, 2 people, 1 person? Yeah, he did. And it got back to Tom Schweich, and Tom Schweich was offended. 1, because he was lying or incompetent, but according to Tom Schweich, he was lying. So let's call, right? He was using religious bigotry. You're not all or nothing. You're not either anti-Semitic Nazi or you're an angel. Right? There's all sorts of gray. And so John Hancock got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. And instead of the smart thing to do, which would have been day or two after Senator Danforth's homily come out and said something along the lines of, you know what, I'm really sorry. I said these things. I didn't understand what I was saying. I got caught up into this, and I apologize. It was never my intention. And for people who thought I meant it this way, I didn't, and I'm sorry, and I apologize, and I'm going to spend a lifetime in this, and I wish Tom Schweich would have lived because we would have been able to sort of find common ground. Instead of saying that, he went on the offensive and started calling everybody a liar and everybody misremembering and everybody wrong and everyone's out to get John Hancock. The man has turned into a diabolical subject. I mean, everyone's out to get John Hancock. Or maybe, just maybe, John Hancock's guilty. How many more people is he going to make carry the water for him until he fesses up? This is Clinton-esque. Right? You had Clinton, you had the blue dress, you had Clinton having people out on all those shows. He's innocent. It's a witch hunt. It's a right-wing conspiracy. It's this, it's that. You know what? The guy did it. Admit it. Admit it and move on. All right. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be good here. John in South St. Louis, you're on KTRS Radio.
Yeah, McGraw. The one thing that everybody keeps saying, well, it's not, you basically covered it, on the religious aspect. John Hancock was catering to a very right-wing nut, rural, ultra-Puritan Protestant base. And Tom Schweich needed, he's running for a statewide office. He's running for, which Republicans have had problems with. And what he was trying to do was, make sure that his base was solid and that they all did. But what he did was he undermined this poor man. He basically, by doing this, by going around to all the Republican Party groups that throughout the state, or
he didn't tell everybody.
He put a gun on the table because he was going to get backlash from all these people that he needed, and that was just wrong. He was basically the biggest contributing factor to Tom Schweich's demise. He should fess up to it.
Thanks for the phone call. I look at them in two separate issues. Clearly, Tom Schweich had some issues, and Tom Schweich loaded the gun, and Tom Schweich pulled the trigger, and it's tragic and it's sad. But don't trample the man's memory and his legacy by then you bullied him when he was alive, and now you're tormenting him and trying to soil his reputation now that he's dead. At least admit that, I did say a couple of these things, and I didn't mean it the way he took it, and I apologize, and I wish I could take it back, but I can't, and let's all sort of move on from here. There's a way to thread that needle. But instead, he decided to soil the reputation of Tom Schweich to defend himself. He decided to go after Tony Messenger to save his own hide. He decided that it was better to go after Senator Danforth. It was better to lie to all my friends and family and say, I never said this, even though he said it. He calls Trish Vincent a liar because she misremembered the conversation she had, even though she told it 17 times the exact same way every time. The Kansas City businessman whose brother-in-law said, oh, by the way, he's telling everyone is this. And then, of course, this Republican mega donor is now clearly lying because it's one giant conspiracy against Senator Danforth. Alan in Chesterfield, you're on KTRS.
How are you?
Good, Alan. Thanks for calling.
Good. Yeah, you're right on, and I wanted to bring up one point that it's really kind of a shame about where we are in society, and that is that Tom Schweich had to feel so humiliated, or felt that it was such a horrible political liability that one of his ancestors apparently was Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no better nor worse than going after somebody and spreading a whisper rumor that, I think that person has some African American blood in it.
Right.
And it's just sad, both on the level of what our society looks at and how we judge people.
Right,
and
but
also it's so sad that Tom Schweich felt that this was such a damaging thing that he couldn't, that he couldn't, bounce back and say, Well, it is true, but this is my, but I'm an Episcopalian, and this is what I do.
Well, now remember,
and we all have lots of people in our past.
Sure, okay, but hold on a second here. We're talking a Republican primary. No one votes, and seriously, no one votes in a primary. So it's only you only need a few people. You only need to rely on the bigotry of a few people for that to work, because so few people vote in the primary. If everybody voted in the primary, the small minority people who vote their religious bigotry wouldn't matter. But because you're stumping for every vote in a primary, every vote matters, of course you give a little nudge. I mean, how many people are we talking about? 200, 300, 400, 500, maybe? Right? So that 500 votes could be very important. And so they're going to tell their minions, right? And so that's how it works. That's why now parents don't vaccinate their kids, because they have some whisper campaign like somehow vaccines are wrong. And that's how misinformation spreads, and that's why misinformation is so heinous. And when it's all said and done, you're right, Alan, thanks for the phone call. I got a break. There's nothing wrong with being Jewish. Of course there's nothing wrong with being Jewish. That's the insidious part of it. There shouldn't be anything wrong with being black. There shouldn't be anything wrong with being gay or lesbian or anything else. But there are some people who have bigotries who vote their bigotry. And so he was only trying to find those people who was beneficial, because you don't go telling, Danforth that, because it wouldn't work on Danforth. He would call you out. And unfortunately, he told Dave Humphreys, who clearly was offended by it, and he thought he was getting away with it. 950 KTRS. I have just enough time to tell you about St. Louis Closet Company. Organize your life with St. Louis Closet Company. Don't forget about the Murphy beds. Look, it's springtime, and that means spring break. And you got friends over, you got relatives over, you got kids over. Do you have that extra bed? How about a Murphy bed? Bring that bed down, have them sleep on it, and then when they're all gone, you put it back up in the wall, and you get your room back. As opposed to that guest room that sort of sits as a guest room, and you can't use it because it's got a double bed in it. St. Louis Closet Company will install a Murphy bed, and they'll save you space, time, money, and aggravation. They'll also redo your closets, your pantries, your kids' closet, your garage, your basement, your attic, whatever it may be. All 100% custom made, all 100% St. Louis. 314-781-9000, 314-781-9000, or stlouisclosetco.com.
This is McGraw Live on KPLR 11.2, STLtoday.com, and the Big 550 KTRS.